let's build something. So first stage I'm working on tonight is stage 41. And look, I wrote it on the, actually there. I wrote it on here so you could actually see it. And I just saw something. Hold on for a second, guys, because I'm going to flip this around. Make sure. No, that's backwards. I can't really see it, whether it's backwards or not, but it's put the right way. All right. So here we got a month ago. Yeah. Well, what I'm going to rebuild the scenes completely. They're not that complicated. No, it's just I was hoping not to have to do that, but that's such as life. So we got a couple of vertebra. That vertebra connector. This is called the vertebra spindle. And some screws and washers. At least I have a knife head close by. First thing it says to do is to put that rubber piece in there where it already is. So then take this, feed it through, put that together. When this is actually tightened down, what's going to happen is this is what's going to be keeping it from twisting all over the place. And that assembly grab this just somewhere to throw the screws. Move the mouse out of the way. Okay, so I'm going to press on and hopefully this thing will play nice. So I was in the process of moving stuff out of the way so I could bring him back and put this part underneath here. And it gets attached by the screws with washers. And again, they always give you one extra on this build. I'm really impressed with the Agora models for that. I agree. It is very cool. Matter of fact, he no longer goes into the box. The Terminator now sits on the table behind me. Soon he'll really be able to sit because what he does is he lays and I fold his arm over across him. So, got those. Throw the extras in here. They're probably going to, like I've said before, they're probably going to end up in the nose of an airplane. It appears that it's actually really starting to work and staying good. Okay, that's kind of weird. My My guess is it's not quite far enough in there. It'll take a little bit of effort. Okay, there we go. That's better. Yes, he will. And the little kitty is actually a thing that my wife bought me when we were in California. She has one as well. It's some sort of a Chinese good luck charm, and he just sits there all the time because he's got a photoelectric cell on there. Sits there all the time waving. And under these lights, he gets plenty of power. If I get him too close up higher, too close to the lights, he'll actually hit the stops on both sides. Just because, let me read and make sure that it says not to. It's kind of funny because it says that the springs are a very tight fit. Squeeze them around the screw with needle nose pliers. They weren't very tight fit, they just fit over top of him. He's my buddy. He sits here and he watches me model. I wonder. Wow, that's tight. Might have to loosen. And of course, the way they have the one that they put, the way it is in the picture, it's facing forward. Probably so that this can go on here. Let me see if I can rotate it. Oh, geez. Me. Let's see. Yeah, it says to align the spline to face the front. And of course, I didn't read that. I just slapped it on there. So let's see. That should be good enough. And actually, those 4 screws is the extent of stage 42. Okay, so after multiple problems trying to get the stream to work, I finally shut it down, and I'm going to finish what was supposed to be on the stream just as I'm going to record it, and then I'm going to splice it together, edit it together, and post it that way. So where we were at on the stream was I had these 5 vertebrae, lower vertebra. And so instructions told me to stack the smaller on top of the larger. Makes sense, it's going down, building down to the hips. Once they are stacked, instructions tell me to take the spinal cord and note that this end on the spinal cord, let me rotate this back towards me a little bit. This end on the spinal cord is a little bit narrower than this end. And my autofocus is not on. Now autofocus is on. And so you can see on here, slightly narrower end there than this one. And so it'll go in through here like this, through all of them. And the last one sits pretty firmly in here and does not come out. And so these, smooth side forward, just like on the neck, are going to slide up into here, up onto here, and I need to tighten this part down to hold all of them together. Finger tight should be good. Let me see what they say. Yeah, it should be good finger tight. Maybe. Seems like a lot of play still in there. Let me see how much I can, if I don't have those in the way, how much I can actually put on there. Of course, you might want to look and make sure that there's not going to be something that supports it. So yeah, it's going all the way. Finger tight is all you can do on this. Put this back in here. There must be something that comes in from the bottom to actually hold them together against each other. Let me flip this over. Put those keyways. Just pull these all down and see if I can. Yeah, that's all the way down. That's as tight as it's going to get. And that is the end of stage 42. All the parts are actually attached at this point. So stage 43. Go ahead and it says start working on the pelvis. Double check. I'm guessing. Yeah, let me get the big boy out of here because he's not involved in this. Yeah. So, got the pelvic frame. More of the pelvic frame. A couple of plant-on details that these are pelvic plate, right and left, and a few screws. So let me throw some tape down because I'm going to be, and obviously I'm going to be using some glue. I'm still off again. And while I'm at it, let me bring that down, re-aim the camera. So it says cut the right pelvic frame piece off. Which you can see that it is the right piece by the R and L there. Take the snips, cut it off. Take my knife and very gently remove the excess plastic that was left behind. And then taking this, right now I'm just comparing it. Like this, taking this way, put this part here, you know what? I had that wrong. Okay, that's better. So you've got this lug here that's going to go down into that hole there. Just like that. Let me pull it back out just here so you can see the lug there. And then we got a screw hole on this side, which when I set it down, it popped loose. Not a big deal. Get rid of this plastic. There are two different kinds of screws there, so let me take a look back at the beginning of this stage. Okay, so the shorter, the 4mm screws are the ones that fit in there, because there's two of them. These 3 screws go with these 3 nuts. Set this onto my magnetic screwdriver, hold it in place, and tighten her down. Being aware that this is metal, that's plastic. It goes on like that. Actually sinks in pretty good. Then drop a nut into each of these holes here. Before I do that, you can see that that's got, you know, it's shaped to fit the nut. It's hexagonal. So put one in each hole. Come on. You get a different pair of tweezers because somehow that one has become magnetized. So you can see them sitting in the hole, the screws. This part, the flat side surface, these bumps on the top, is going to attach right there. Very carefully grab a screw. And again, just like always, there are extra nuts and extra screws. Let me double check. Okay, it says flip it over, which means I got to hold those screws in. And actually, this flat side, the flat side goes down because there's 2 pins that protrude down into those sockets. So once I set it in there, I should be able to easily put the screw into the first nut. Let me see if I can pick up this one and get it on here. Get the second one in there into the second nut, and I'm just going to tighten this one all the way down and go back and tighten this one. One thing I don't know if you guys have caught, those of you that have been following along, one of the things I will do, you can see that these screws are pretty well down there. what I usually will do is I'll try and see if I can get a fingernail under them. That just tells me that they're socked down at least that tight. Let me put the spare screws away. And that is all that there is to do in stage 43. So in stage 44, and this will be used later on. I'm sure there's a second part just like this for the left-hand side. So in stage 44, that part, that's actually kind of surprising. This is plastic. Both of these are. Several screws. So this is the pelvic girdle, and the girdle, it's a girdle detail. Several different kinds of screws. Let me just make sure I've got them. Let me get them separated out so that I don't have to go back and figure it out just like I did before on the last one. So 3 6mm, 2 4mm, and there's going to be 6 screws in here. 6 more 4mm screws. So position this. Looks like it's like that. The fixings point for the pelvic frame is this spot right here, or attaching point. So that lug will go into this socket here. It'll fit on there. Okay, that's your point to aim for, but there's actually sockets. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It looks like. No, it's 5. This one's not. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Matching up with these 5 pins. So that the whole thing, actually there is 6. But so that the whole thing's sink down into here like that. And it'll be flush. It says to use 2 of the PB screws, which the PBs were 6mm. Okay, 2 of the 6mm screws go into it, and these 2 spots, outer spots here. So one goes here. If I can get it to thread in. These are self-tapping screws actually. So there are no threads inside the plastic. I can tell that by the shape of the threads on the screw itself and the incline of the plane. Second one goes in here. Tighten it down. Tighten this one down. So you can now see the screws are in their holes all the way down. This is flush, will not come apart. It says to identify these 4 spots. So it says identify these 4 spots, which are the only ones without screws. And use the 4 of these 6 screws here to tighten those spots down. So 1 here. Next one here. These are also self-tapping screws. They're just a lot shorter. Got lost there for a minute because I found a screw head. I was thinking I had to put one of the screws in here, but that's actually holding the 2 parts from last stage together. And then the last one goes here. So I'll probably be doing a live stream test here in the next couple of days, since my live stream just kind of fell apart today. Something was weird between YouTube and OBS. They just weren't having a good time together. So this last part, you got a lug right here, and this part right there is where it fits. So this is going to go on here like that. Leaving a nice spot for something to go into there. Put the last of these 4mm screws in there. And I missed something somewhere, because you always I'm gonna have to go back and count the screws that they have me using, because instead of the silver one here, they want me to use a black one, which means I've got 2 spares here and 1 extra spare. I'll have to go back and look and make sure that I know where that's going to go. Yeah, okay, never mind. So the black one goes there, where it's at, and the silver one goes in there. Right now, the black one is not tightened down all the way, so that I can get this one threaded in first. Now I'm going to go back, and you can see, like right here, you can see on the screw here, that's why my fingernail check. I do my fingernail check, because that's actually up pretty far. Might not catch it looking at it if I don't look at it from the right angle. But now that it's down, fingernail won't go in. And that's that part assembled. Still got this piece hanging out from the last stage. More screw parts, or more screws. And I always keep the screws, even if I know they're spares, because the X-Wing, or not the X-Wing, the Millennium Falcon, it looked like lots and lots of spare screws, but when I got towards the end, I actually was using a lot of the spare screws that were still around. And if anybody's curious, I'm having a little bit of Canadian Club and Coke since I'm on leave this week. And so stage 45, last stage I'm going to do tonight, has a lot of interesting little pieces. This should be the right pelvic frame, more of the right pelvic frame, girdle detail right and left here. You can see the R and L on there. My camera's acting up a little bit. And some screws. Screws and nuts. Looks like there's going to be 3. Oh, there's a little bit more than what I thought. So there's going to be those 2 that are going to hold that frame together. That one's going to be somewhere else. And these 3 parts are spares. And I stuck that tape down there thinking I was going to have to glue something, and I didn't have to. Okay, so the first thing it says, and it shows in the book is they're cutting it with a blade like this. Oh, that's not a blade. With a blade like this. If you have the ability, you need to buy yourself some snips. These things are not bad. They're not expensive at all. And with that flat side, if you look, get right up there as flat as you can against the part. Cut it. And if at all, it leaves very little that has to be cut off. There's a slight bump on there, and what I'll always do is I'll feel it to see if I can feel something, and if I can, I'll very gently slice the last of it off. The only reason I do a blade on here instead of a sanding stick is because I don't want to take any of the chrome off of here. So this is going to pop on here exactly the same way the other one did. Got this lug here, socket here, that's going to slide in there. Actually, I'm putting it backwards. This is the lug. It's going to slide in there like that. Take this one little screw. I'm going to put it in there like that. That's going to take care of that. And I love when I can do things like this. This one again has, you know, when things repeat, you can do them a little bit quicker. So almost got that in there. Just not quite playing nice. So there's one. There's 2. And I do look at the instructions to make sure, again, with the 2 small lugs on here, fitting it into the holes on the back side here. And then the way I do this is I put my fingers over those 2 holes so those nuts can't fall out. Same time, when I turn it over, I have access to the screw holes. Let's take one screw, drop it in there, thread it into the nut, take the other screw, do the same thing. Tighten it down. Tighten this one down. So now it says to cut the right one of these off and fit it onto pelvis. And again, that's pretty nice. Don't need to worry about that. So I'm looking for this part here. Oh, I do need super glue. So this part here is, hang on, how's that looking? It's not lining up right. Seems like it should fit down inside, but the way they're showing it, okay. Not sure if you can see that on camera. There's a, right here, there's a very, very tiny lip. I mean, really small. And that little bitty lip right here, sorry. That little bitty lip, I mean, really, really tiny lip, fits down into that hole that was created when I put this part on here. Once it's on there, once it's set on there, it actually fits pretty nice. It's pretty snug. And I can push it over to where there's no gap there. It comes off when I'm not holding it. So let me get the glue out. And I've adopted a technique that I saw from World of Wayne. I now use a pin inside of a pin vise for super glue. It actually gets less of the glue, which makes it's less messy. So I'm going to put it on there. That. Around here on the side. And using this rather than the plastic sticks I've been using, it cleans up a lot better so that I don't have such a mass of glue that I'm trying to work around when I'm doing this. Back to that hole. Just slide that in there. And there are some spots on the back here that stop it from going back too far. So I'm going to push that in there pretty firmly and hold on to it. And so this will go into the sprue box. This part here is going to be left over for next time I work on the Terminator. Same with this. So that's got that. Let's see what happens if I let go. Yeah, see when I was letting go before, it was popping back out a little bit. Now it's staying snug down. And just for GPs, general purposes, I'm going to put a little bit on the back here where it catches those two braces. And that's it. that's all there that I'm going to do tonight. That's stage 45 complete. I'll be putting this video together with the video, the live stream that died on me, and just putting it all together as a single video. I'm going to cut out a lot of the live stream stuff, all the parts that where I was having difficulties, and we'll call it a wrap at that. Like if you like the video. Subscribe if you're interested in seeing more of my builds. Make sure you go over and visit some of the folks over at visit HobbyLink International. It's a great website, a lot of modelers there, and you can find a lot of people who are more than happy to help you out on how to build models. Have a great day, evening, whatever happens to be there, and I will catch you later.